Hello, hello, and hello. Listen here. Listen here. I have heard so many people go, I wouldn't have immortality if given the chance. In fact, I've seen very few people say I would like immortality. And I am going to make this video proving why you want immortality. Why you would be a common buffoon fool to deny it. Now, I feel like there are some necessary precursors that I think is very relevant. Is take my belief system. Like when I die, I believe that the most likely chance is that I get offed and there's no afterlife in any way. There's no reincarnation. Am I open to the other ideas? Of course. And that is going to be huge because I could see someone not wanting immortality that believes in afterlife because there's an afterlife. It's like, why would I want immortality? There's an afterlife and I'm going to heaven or whatever, right? I am coming at this from a stance that assumes that your life is finite, 80 years, no eternal life after that. Let's break down some common points as to why you wouldn't want an afterlife. 1, everyone you know will die. This one has always fell flat for me. 1, because everyone you know is already gonna die. Take me, I'm 19. All of my family is older than me. My parents, my cousins, my grandparents, my uncles, my aunts, they will all be dead, most of them by the time I turn 40, which is very sad to hear, and that is not a fun thought, so I'm going to push that away quickly. We can make new friends, we can make new family, and yes, your grandparents die, but as long as your kids keep having kids, and you can always have kids, there will always be new family to latch onto. There will always be more people to latch onto. Yes, everyone will die. No matter what, you have a finite amount of time with the people you love. Do you want to see all of their time or only see part of their time? That's what is going here. I have grandkids. Either I only see them until they're 30 or I see them until they're 80. Which one do you pick? Honestly. Yeah, they'll be leaving you, but in exchange, you got an extra 50 years with them. And in exchange, you got an extra lifetime with every one of other of your family members. And to flip this, if you're immortal, now there are people in this world, like let's say you have a partner. That partner will no longer have to worry about you dying at all. They know that for the rest of their life, you will always be there for them. That is so nice. I don't have to worry about my partner getting sick. Now you can make the argument that, Tyler, how are you gonna make real friends if everyone you love is going to die and no one else can truly relate to immortality? That's a hard one. That's a true one. And I'm not gonna say immortality is great. And a lot of these situations are true. Yeah, a lot of things are going to suck. Let's take another argument, for example. Tyler, in an infinite amount of time, in a finite universe, you will eventually do everything, and that everything you do will be a negligible amount, no matter how long that time is, it will be negligible in comparison to the infinite amount of time that you will have, in which case you have done everything. That, again, is a very scary thought. Honestly, I'm sitting aimlessly. Let's say the universe ends in the Great Rip. And what happens to me then? I just get ripped to oblivion, and I'm infinitely in pain being ripped? I mean, that's rough. I mean, let's say I can control where I spawn in every time I die. I can say, oh, I respawn, I go, oh, okay. Let's say my house gets demolished, oh, I want to spawn here. So let's say I can pick where I spawn, but I always just spawn the literal instant moment after I died. So maybe the rest of the time I'm just greatly stretched and I'm tortured for all of oblivion. And that's a very real situation. But I don't know, but we also don't know what happens. Maybe the Great Rip turns into another Big Bang. Like, we do not know. And even in the case, I will be doing an infinite amount of more time where I've done everything. I agree with you. That is a very scary thought. But we have to remember the alternative. The alternative is 80 years. Yes, I'll lose people I love, but the people that love me, I will always be there for them. I will never be dead. Now, take what an immortal person can have for society. You could help people in your life. Like, oh, in 300 years from now, my great-great-great-grandson's dealing with this problem. Well, I've seen it with 100 people. I can help them. Being an immortal person, from a looking at yourself standpoint, is so helpful for everyone else. I can be the most stable rock in a relationship. I can look at you and I can help you with so many things. There are so many things you could do to help society if you're immortal. Studio was switched. Chair is not nearly the same. It's very cramped in here. I had to put a bed sheet over the window, but we're here. Back to what I was saying. Immortality, another point against don't want to be immortal is because life loses its meaning. Now, I find that very hard. I can see where you're coming from with this take. I find it very hard to understand because you're telling me that you take all your meaning in life is because you'll die? Like, so what if you don't die now, meaning's lost? Oh, it's nothing matters anymore because I'm not gonna. What are we talking about? No. We still have our lives. We still have the people in our lives. We still have interactions. We still have things to deal with. If you derive so much of your meaning of life from the fact that you die to the point that you will give up eternal existence for eternal inexistence, I find that absurd. Because, like, for example, this might be a very subjective, and I guess people derive meaning from very different areas, but for me, I derive meaning from attaining a goal, I derive meaning from living my life how I would like to live it, how I want to live it, trying to get as much joy from anywhere as possible. So I get what you're saying. Like, for example, let's say I got a due date. Like, oh, I gotta get this done in 2 hours. I'm rushing. Oh, due date extension. You don't got to get it done for 3 weeks for whatever reason. Or maybe you don't got to get it done for another year. Now, if I don't enjoy what I'm doing, I will procrastinate, yes. But in this case, I'm living my life. I'm doing what I want to do. If it's something I truly have a goal towards, yes, a part of me will lose the rush factor. I won't be as stressed, but I'll still be just as motivated to get the job done. In fact, it'll now be done better because I'm not under a time crunch anymore. I'm not under a time crunch, so now I can put more effort into it and it can look better. To say that life loses meaning because you won't die is, as I think, a foolish take on its own, let alone the fact that it loses so much meaning that you will know that you're giving up eternal existence. It blows my mind. I believe that you can find meaning is in purpose. Meaning is in a goal. You can find meaning from so many things in life. If you were given immortality, I am sure you will be able to find meaning from other things in life. Another point I'd like to make about the Great Rip I was saying earlier, listen here. Nothing lasts forever. I guess time itself could last forever, but nothing lasts forever within it. So maybe the Great Rip happens, something else happens. Maybe the universe restarts. We don't know what happens. We don't know enough to say that you'll be left in a void at the end of time, the Great Rip or the Great Crunch or whatever. So to say that no matter what, by the end of time, you'll be left in an empty void doing nothing, I think doesn't hold any ground either, because we don't know what'll happen. It could be anything. Maybe it's a void for trillions of years, and then after that, back to something for another quintillion years. I don't know what comes after a trillion. Sextillion, octillion, quintillion, Googleplex, tree, 3, all these random numbers I see on the internet. It's besides the point. And a lot of the people talking about this are younger people. I bet you, let's jump it 80 years. Let's take you're a 95-year-old, you're bedridden, and you said, hey, do you want immortality? Yes, immortality, given the constraints you've given it, well, we're not going to say you age, of course. So 95, they're like, do you want to go back to your prime 35-year-old body? Do you want to live forever? Do you want to die right now? I bet you most of those people are going to say no. How many people actually want to die at the age of 90? I've heard so many stories about, like, when you're older, your brains, you still feel like yourself. You're physically aging, but mentally you're still the same person, and you're still that same person that doesn't want to die. I just find it so hard to believe that people would rather die than be immortal. And on top of that, denying immortality is almost extremely selfish. Because if you're immortal, you can do so much good in the world. You can do so much good for the world. Now, giving immortality to the wrong person, you can do a lot of bad in the world, but that is neither here nor there. You have potential to do good for the world. You have potential to do this. To give up immortality would be a very foolish decision. And I am yet to see a point that holds any basis, because they make sense. Like, I get it. You don't want this. These are bad things, but you have to remember the alternative. The alternative is death after 80 years. And you can make the argument, I know a lot of people are like, oh, the anti-aging technology and medical science exponentially grows. I remember seeing a quote from Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's like, oh, I think the the first person to live forever, in quotes, or live for an extended period of time has already been born, because by the time they're 50 and they're aging, there'll be technology to grow them till they're 70. By the time they're 70, there'll be technology to push them another 30 years. By the time they're 100, there'll be technology to push them another 50 years. And by the time they're 150, well, now the technology can reverse aging entirely, and now aging isn't a problem, now you can live for the next 1,000, right? So there has been that argument. Tyler, what if in 80 years you're not even dead? And that's a fair point, and that technology, I'd like to see that thing, but we don't know how that technology is going to pan out. We also don't know if we can even live that long. Our minds, will they crumble after that time? Like, even if you live 1,000 years, that's still a minute amount of time against the infinite. And if everyone's living 1,000 years and everyone dies off after an average of 1,000 years, that just becomes relative and it's back to being small again. Like, immortality is the ultimate gift. And to reject it, especially with an atheistic, is that a word? Point of view on the world, I think you're foolish. If you truly, at the center of your heart, believe in an afterlife, now I can respect the take, because why would you want to be immortal if you can go die and be in the afterlife, be in heaven, or whatever your religion's afterlife is, and live in that great world and see everyone anyways? But especially if you do not believe in the afterlife, and you're coming at me saying I would rather die and exist and not exist for all of eternity than exist for all of eternity, because bad experience, well, I guess this is more of an opinion thing, but bad experience, in my opinion, is better than no experience. But I mean, that's coming from a guy that's never been tortured or never had really the worst experiences, so I guess that's a little bit of a bias, because my worst experience isn't really the worst experience you could feel. I guess you'd have to ask someone that has had truly the worst experience, like, oh, I was tortured back in Nam for 50 years. Oh yeah, that sucked. I was tortured in Russia for 50 years. I finally got out of that. I would rather die than experience that again. And I would challenge that. I would say, would you really though? Because eventually that will be over. Because everything ends, good or bad, everything ends. Except for your hypothetical life here. Eventually that'll be over and then something good will rebound it. I would argue that point even if. So, that's my video. I hope you guys... I've seen so many opinions anti-immortality. I'm surprised there's not a lot of more people going pro-immortality, because for me it's so clear, it's so obvious, it's such a clear cut. Have a great day.